All right, welcome back, everybody. This is January 11th. This is going over section 7.1 again. So for those of you following along at home, those of you playing along at home, here's the warm up. You are probably freaking out right now, just like my students are in class. Like this is like the hardest thing in the world, right? Yes, they're all not again. It's a very quiet day here today at Lake High School. I don't know why. It's a Monday. We got a case of the Mondays. You guys got a case of the Mondays? That was funny. Anyway, hopefully we're feeling okay about this stuff. I know this is difficult stuff, but here's the warm up for today. I would recommend pausing it, and then we're going to go over it here in a minute. Okay. So just as a reminder, just kind of like beginning class today, just as a reminder, this first set of notes out of chapter 7 will go on to the third 9 weeks, right? This is going to look like, if I go to Canvas right now, and I look at this section, let me jump in here. Algebra 1. No quizzes or anything this week. That's nice. Quiz next week, but not this week. If I go to Algebra 1 and I go to this section 7.1 review, I'm going to be posting this here. There's the homework for tonight. This looks like it's due tomorrow, right? This says due January 12th. It is, don't get me wrong, it is. This homework is due tomorrow. But for this to truly go into the gradebook in the third 9 weeks, that due date needs to be within the third 9 weeks, which technically does not start until Tuesday of next week. So we're going to have all of our assignments due this week, and then on like Friday, before the final grades get pulled, I'm going to change all of those due dates this week to Tuesday, okay? Just so they will all roll into the gradebook at the same time. So if you see some funky stuff happening with the due dates, don't worry about it. It's all on my end. You'll be fine. Now let's talk about chapter 7. Here's what I want to say to you guys. Chapter 7, like I said on Friday, is a lot of learn the rules, follow the rules. Learn the rules, follow the rules. Okay? It's going to be difficult. Now, chapter 7 is going to be difficult, just because a lot of this stuff is brand new to you guys. Pretty much, I don't know, 75% of everything that we've learned thus far this year, you had at least a base understanding of from middle school. Would you agree with that? Maybe even higher percentage than 75%. Pretty much almost everything that you learned so far this year, you've had before in middle school. This stuff is probably, I don't know, have you guys seen this stuff before with these negative exponents and stuff? I figured as much. And that will be true for pretty much the rest of the semester, okay? The second 9 weeks is a lot of brand new stuff. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. It will be okay. It's going to feel weird. It's going to be weird. You guys are going to feel like you're doing things wrong. That's okay. Okay? I'd rather you make mistakes on your homework and correct them and do better on the quiz than not do your homework and then make those mistakes on the quiz. And that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit more about homework. Guys, I from here on out in the second semester, homework is not just like you should do it because it's a good grade and it's an easy grade. Homework is like you really have to try this stuff. You must do your homework so that you can figure out where you are making your mistakes. Because if you don't do your homework and you don't find out where you're making your mistakes, you're going to bomb the test. I will guarantee that. Now is the time where people that, a lot of you could just skate by and not really need to do the homework because you're like, oh, I got this stuff. Be careful, you people. I know you guys. You're out there, I swear. You have to start doing your homework and really, really, really investing in, am I doing this correctly? Okay? It's okay to not do it correctly on your homework, right? That's okay. It's okay to like try things on your homework and like not be good at them, because the next day we will hopefully clear some of that issue up. Okay. All right. So I'm off my soapbox there. Let's just get to it. I'm see a couple people sleeping, so better get to it. All right. Now remember, for these problems, these beginning problems, you can either simplify then plug in, or plug in then simplify. It's really kind of like two different ways of doing it. Like for example here, this t to the negative 6. Let me move. Can I move that down? Oh no, I can't. That t to the negative 6. T to the negative 6 could become 1 over t to the positive 6, couldn't it? Right? Isn't t to the negative 6 1 over t to the positive 6? And then we can plug in 2. So it would be like saying 1 over 2 to the 6th, which 2 to the 6th, I mean, you could just use your calculator. 2 to the 6th is 64. So it's 1 over 64. 1 over 64. That's my answer there. You could have also plugged in 2 right away. You could have said, okay, number 1 is 2 to the negative 6. And then you say 1 over 2 to the positive 6. And you got the same thing, 1 over 64. Is that a negative number? No. The negative in the exponent means that it's a fraction, not a negative number. Okay? It's a fraction, not a negative number. So let's take a look at number 2 here. Number 2 says n to the negative third, where n is negative 5. Well, n to the negative third is really 1 over n to the positive third, right? Then you plug in and you say 1 over negative 5 to the positive third. Well, negative 5 to the positive third power, I'll put parentheses, is negative 125. So 1 over negative 125, and that's my answer. Questions about that? All right, so let's take a look at number 3. I like to simplify. X to the negative third, y is going to turn into y over x to the positive third. Notice that, remember again, a negative exponent is not happy where it is. It moves to the denominator of the fraction. So the power on the x turns positive when it goes down into the denominator. The y stays where it is. The y had an exponent of positive 1, so it stays where it is, y over x to the third. And then we plug in. Okay, x is 4, y is negative 2. So that would be like saying negative 2 over 4 to the third power is 64. That could simplify though, right? 2 64ths is 1/32. So negative 1 over 32. Sorry, did I run off the board over there? Oh, no, okay. Okay. Number 4. What's my answer? Somebody tell me. 1. Right? It's 1. Anything to the 0 power. Did I really even need to know what p equaled? No, as long as it was non-zero. We know that number 4 should be 1, no matter what. Number 6 over there. Do I care what r equals? No, because that's going to turn into 1. That's going to go away. So it's going to be 1 over s squared, where s is 10. So it's 1 over 100. 1/100. Okay, questions on anything on the top there? Questions? Okay. Let's take a look at these more algebraic ones down below. Now, my question to you is this. Does the 5 go down into the denominator? Because I see the negative third power, right? But does the 5 get carried along for the ride with the k?
No.
Well, why not?
No, simply because the 5 would not be included in by parentheses.
Good point bringing up about the parentheses. If there were parentheses, then the 5 would be included with that negative third power. But there are no parentheses, so the only thing being raised to that negative third is the k. So the only thing that gets moved to the denominator is the k. The 5 stays in the numerator. K to the third becomes positive and goes to the denominator. And I'm fully simplified. Remember, you're fully simplified when you don't see any powers that have negatives or zeros at this point. Once we get into section 7.3 and 7.4, we're going to add more rules to that. Okay, so what did I say happens with a negative in the denominator? Negative exponent in the denominator. We can wake up. You want to stand up and wake up. What happens with a negative in the denominator? Goes in the numerator. Takes the elevator up. Okay, well, that means that there's nothing left over in the denominator. I could write x to the fourth, y to the sixth in the numerator like that. That is completely fine. Do I need to have the over 1 there, though? No. You know, I would not take off if you wrote that over 1, but that's a little bit better to write. All right. Okay, is the 8 being raised to a negative exponent? No. So don't move it. 8 stays in the numerator. F to the negative fourth turns to the positive fourth when it moves down. What happens to my g to the 0? Magic. And that's my answer. Essentially, what happens with number 10? What happens with number 10, Charlie? They switch places. Right. Essentially, when you have both negative exponents in the top and the bottom, you're just going to flip. One takes the elevator up, one takes the elevator down. Remember, negative exponent means it's not happy where it is. You need to move it. Move from top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, and the last one here, number 11 that I have here. Take it piece by piece. I'll write out my fraction. Is the 4 happy where it is? Leave it. Is the x happy where it is? Yes. Is the y happy where it is? No. Put it down to the denominator and make it positive. Okay, we've evaluated everything in the numerator. Let's take a look at the denominator. Is the 3 happy where it is? Yes. Very, very common mistake is to move it up because I know the a is going to move up because it has the negative exponent. But the 3 does not get carried along for the ride because it's not included in parentheses. The 3 stays down below. Is the b happy? Yes. So we leave it. Okay. Do we feel a little bit better about this? Hopefully. A little bit. Something. I'm okay with this. We just learned this on Friday. You don't walk into Spanish class and then understand you're not fluent in Spanish by the next day, right? You can say like, hold on. That's better. All right, let's take a look at the homework. Guys, I have like 10 people that have submitted this homework so far. So, if you haven't submitted the homework, please do so. Well, let's talk through. You know what? I'm going to call on some people. I haven't done this I haven't like done this the whole year. Because it's 2021. Yeah. Pete. Oh no. David. What? You can do this though. One of the smallest bats in northern is the northern blossom bat. In Southeast Asia and up there. The bat weighs 2 to the negative 1 ounce. What's another way to write 2 to the negative 1? Good. 1 over 2 to the positive 1, right? Well, if it's 1 over 2 to the positive 1, is that just 1/2? Yeah, that's 1/2. So it weighs 1/2 an ounce. Again, this is one of those problems like, would anybody really change it to the negative 1 out? No, you'd say I have an X. Come on now, people. Yeah. Negative exponents are really useful, but it's not a negative. All right. Mr. Schombeck, what'd you get for number 26? Did you say negative? It should be positive 625. 1 over positive 625. Number 28. Berkeley, what'd you get on number 28?
1 over the negative 81.
Good. 1 over negative 81. Why does the negative not go away for that one? David? The 9 has a negative. Good. And there's no parentheses. There's no parentheses. There's no parentheses around the 9. Right? The negative. Excuse me. There's no parentheses around the negative. Ooh, that was caught up video. Hannah, what'd you get for number 30? 1 over 49. Good. 1 over 49. Notice that again for numbers 26 and 30, these two right here, just because it's a negative number, negative exponent does not mean it's a negative number. Same thing for 32. Mr. Haas, what would you get for 32?
1 over 169.
Good. 1 over 169. 13 squared is 169, so it's 1 over 169. 34 is kind of like one of those problems like don't overthink it, right? Because 34, is there any negative exponent going on? Do I even need to worry about any sort of fraction? No, it's just a negative number. That's just 16. That's not like 1 over 16. That's just literally just 16. All right, and then Mason, what did you get for 36? Good, 1 over negative 7. Questions 24 to 36? Let's take, yep.
Why wouldn't it be negative?
Because the parentheses are around the negative 4. So if I go into my calculator and I do negative 4 squared, positive 16. Okay, let's take a look at 38, 40, and 42. Now 38 is kind of a tricky one. You know how I keep simplifying and then I plug it in? 38 is better if you plug it in. Like I don't want to try to take 2/3 to the negative 3 power. Well, you know what's easy? Taking 2/3 times 9 and then raising it to the negative 3rd power. Because 2/3 of 9 is just 6 to the negative 3rd power. So 1 over 6 to the positive 3rd power, or 1 over 6 to the 3rd is 216. There's 38. Alexis, what did you give for number 4?
Oh, I didn't do it.
Oh, boo, hiss. Number 40, do with me here. I've got 10, well, actually here. Does the 10 move down to the denominator? Oh, I'm talking to Alexis. She's got to do this one.
No.
Alexis, your voice got to do this. Does the m move down to the denominator?
Yeah.
Yes. Does the n?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so now when we go to plug that in, that's 10 over 10 times negative 2 to the 5th. You got your calculator there?
Yeah.
What's negative 2 to the 5th power?
Negative 32.
Good. So that means it's 10 over negative 320. Cancel out a 0. Negative 1 over 32. That's my answer for 40. Ooh, this is kind of a funky one here for number 42. I've got variables in exponents. What is going on? But watch what happens when I plug it in. What's anything raised to the 0 power? 1. So this is like saying 4 times 1 times 1, or just 4? Because they're raised to the v power, v is 0. They both end up, those variables end up going away. Okay, last set of problems here. I'm going to read off some answers, then you're going to read off some answers. Number 44, Elena, what'd you get for 44? Okay, what happens with z to the negative 8? Where does it go? All right, so 2 stays on top, z to the 8 goes to the bottom. There's my answer. Number 46. Mackenzie, what do you have for 46?
D over C to the second.
Good. D over C to the second, or C squared. Number 48. Nevaeh, you got this one now. You can do this. Does the 4 move?
No.
Does the X move?
Yes.
Does the Y move?
Yes.
There's my answer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mothman.
Yes.
Number 50. What'd you get?
I didn't do it, but I can do it.
You got it. You got this.
S to the first power all over R to the big power.
Very good. Just flip it essentially, right? Number 52. Chip's not here today. Carson's not here today. Mr. Hoffman. Number 52. Does the 3 move, Liam?
No.
No. Does the W? Does the X? There it is. Number 54. Okay, number 54 is a little weird. I want to talk about 54. You see how it's a 2/3 times? It's almost easier if you just write it like that, right? 2 over 3. Because now the m is going to go down to the denominator, m to the first. The n is going to stay in the numerator. That one's kind of weird. Okay, who's next up here? Tyler. Number 56. Wow, that seems like a common theme. Wow, we're really stellar on our homework completion today. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. What does A move? Yeah. Does B? Does C? Does D? There's my answer. Said it before, I'll say it again. This won't be the last time you hear me say it. You're not going to get this if you don't try it. You're not going to understand it if you don't do your homework. I guarantee it. I promise you. Ben, number 68. What's my answer?
I didn't do it.
Oh. What's my answer? Does C move?
Yeah.
Does D?
No.
There we go. Nate Baker, easiest question of the day. 1. Yeah. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Number 72, Rosalie. Good. What happens with the 2? Number 74, Serenity. What would you do there? Well, what would you do? That's not what I asked. What would you do? I'm just assuming that nobody did their homework, so I'm just saying, what would you do? Does the M move? No. Does the N? Yes, negative exponent. So the M stays where it is on top, right? And then the N moves up top with it. Can I write that over 1? Yeah, but do I need to? No, right? So that's good, or just M squared n to the 3rd. Both of those answers are fine. Travis, what would you do here? Does this negative on the outside of the fraction affect anything? Don't just show them the answer, Baker. No, it doesn't do anything. So let's just leave it out there. So what would you do? swap.
Why does it the negative?
Because it's a negative number. It's not within the exponent. Here's the only thing that I would do in this one. What's 20 divided by 5? Can I reduce that fraction? Yeah. So I would write negative 4 q to the third over p. And that's my true answer.